Lawmakers adopted the Select Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development's recent report on SECOs. The Ministry of Higher Education is launching a survey on the Gambia's madrasa education system to design a comprehensive strategy to guide the process of integrating into the mainstream education curriculum. The Ministry of Finance, in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, organized the first in-country forum on the Global Shield Forum in the fight against climate change. The Gambia Immigration Department held a press briefing at its headquarters in Banjul on Wednesday to brief the media and the public on Gambia's readiness to host next week's ECOWAS Heads of Immigration Conference. In international news, the UN General Assembly has overwhelmingly voted for Israel to end its occupation of Gaza and the West Bank within a year, with 124 countries, the Gambia voting for the historic resolution. Those were the headlines, and now look at the stories in detail. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Today, the 19th September, lawmakers adopted the reports of the National Assembly Select Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development, recent reports on SECOs. The report was adopted despite reports of a $32 million shortage of groundnuts across 40 SECOs. Usman Jata witnessed the proceedings, and he now tells us more.
The National Food Security, Processing and Marketing Corporation reported a $32 million shortage discovered in 40 SECOs across the country in March 2024. In response, the National Assembly Select Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development conducted a field visit to some SECOs across the country in early 2024 to scrutinize implementation of the seasonal groundnut purchase program. 5 months after the field visits, the committee's report is presented to the National Assembly for adaptation. Honorable Omar Dabo, the member for Opanyome, is the chairperson of the Select Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development.
During this visit, the National Assembly members engaged with local farmers and cooperative leaders to gather first-hand information regarding the buying processes, their understanding of what happened, and impact of the shortage on their SECOs.
26 SECOs out of 40 SECOs were visited across the country. Key findings include reported losses due to a lack of screening, delays in transportation, and weighing scale discrepancies. In line with these findings, the member for Sabah Sanjal, Honorable Alaji Babu Sise, and nominated member Honorable Keba Lang Fofana or raised red flags about the Agri Committee's finding.
Where the problem is coming from is from the SECO presidents and their committee members. Some of them have their own vendors within them who are going across the country to buy groundnut and bring it back to this country and sell it.
And in those 26 SECOs, the SECO presidents, some will be saying, I have a shortage of 1 ton, 5 ton, 19 million, 20 million. But it's the entire 32 million being verified and found to be accurate or otherwise.
The committee's report indicated that at the Santanto SECO in the Central River region, about 150 tons of groundnuts were bought. However, the committee was informed that 2 tons were unaccounted for. Given these and other discrepancies uncovered, Almami Jiba, the representative for Fonyi Councillor, urges his fellow assembly members against adopting the report.
Is it in that it is only the issue of screening and other issues or loss of tonnages, not including the pay of drivers, is unknown? Let's not adopt this report. Let's refer them back.
Amongst the recommendations of the Agri Committee is the introduction of a comprehensive insurance coverage, proper screening before buying groundnuts from farmers, and to develop a contingency plan to manage losses and shortages. Amically, the representative for Fonyi Berefet and vice chair of the Agri Select Committee gave some context on the shortage of groundnuts to give assembly members a better understanding.
The amount of money we are talking about does not mean that the money itself is missing. It's a shortage. 1 ton is $38,000. So calculate if a SECO lost like 5 tons, multiply that by 38. So it does not mean that the SECO's presidents were taking the money itself.
Amidst the concerns raised and put into context by committee members over the $32 million groundnut shortage reported across the 40 SECOs countrywide, the Assembly voted to adopt the Agri Committee's report. The chairperson of the Select Agriculture Committee, Honorable Omar Dabo, recommended an increase in the budget allocated for the National Food Security and Processing Cooperation, formerly known and still referred to by many as the Gambia Groundnut Cooperation, to enhance productivity. Osman Jata reporting for QTV News.
The Ministry of Higher Education on Wednesday revealed that it is launching a survey on the Gambia's madrasa education system to identify critical gaps in the system and design a comprehensive strategy to guide the process of integration into the mainstream education curriculum. Loli M. Kamara has more.
According to the survey's organizers, the study will examine the curriculum, teaching methods, and overall functioning of madrasas and majalis in the Gambia. It will also help students integrate into mainstream tertiary and higher education with a focus on STEM, TVET, and apprenticeship. This World Bank initiative is a 5-year multi-sectoral project financed at a tune of $92.71 million. The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Dr. Yusuf Ature, recognized the need for and importance of this survey.
The Arabic teachers, the imams are doing tremendously well for our communities. They are taking part in very important endeavors of our communities. But the world is changing, and how many of us would task ourselves to be responsible for their welfare? If they don't learn skills, they will not be able to take proper care of themselves and their families.
The madrasa system of education is regarded as the center of higher learning to promote the moral, spiritual, and intellectual development of learners through the intensive study of the Quran, as well as the dissemination of knowledge and skills that will help the learners to live in conformity with basic Islamic value systems. Mohammed Hassan Lum, the consultant for the project, explained how the survey will be conducted in the coming months.
In October, we are planning to embark upon the school surveys, because in order to gather critical information data, we have to do physical surveys. And in those physical surveys, there will be also inspection of curricula as specified in the terms of reference. We had received a list from Amana, which is corroborated also by the list from the Ministry for Basic and Secondary Education, that there are 76 schools, madrasas, that are operating senior secondary schools, and we intend to visit all of them across the length and breadth of the country in the 6 administrative divisions, school administrative divisions.
The Higher Education Ministry is also set to develop the gender policy for tertiary, higher education, TVET, and special needs, which aims to address gender and special need gaps. Dr. Aminata Silla is the consultant for the development of the policy. The Gambia Resilience, Inclusion, Skills and Equity RISE project seeks to enhance the country's human development capital by improving education quality and access, increasing employment opportunities, and extending social protection to most vulnerable sections of society. Professor Pierre Gomez is the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
Yesterday, you must have seen that we have started rolling out the agenda by coming up with that special scholarship for those Gambian youths who are in tertiary and higher education institutions from the Islamic institutions, from the madrasa, to now provide scholarships for them. We will be giving them, at least for a start, 100 scholarships paid by the Gambia government.
Momodu Sabali, the presidential advisor, commended the Higher Education Ministry for this laudable initiative. He also assured of the government's continuous support throughout the course. According to the officials, the study is the first of its kind in the country and is expected to provide valuable insights into the role of Islamic education in the Gambian context. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
The Ministry of Finance, in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, organized the first in-country forum of the Global Shield Forum on Wednesday in the fight against climate change. Lamin Alhaji Funding Dabo reports.
The Global Seal Initiative aims to enhance protection for climate-vulnerable economies and communities by providing and facilitating appropriate pre-arranged climate and disaster risk financing. Dr. Astrid Zwick from the Global Seal Against Climate Risk Secretariat explains the birth of the initiative.
We know that disasters don't wait. They strike with little warning, and when they do, time to act is often too late. That's why the Global Shield prioritizes having mechanisms in place before disaster strikes.
Miranda Sindh of the World Food Programme calls for effective coordination among stakeholders to fight climate change.
The Ministry of Environment and other actors in the UN, we need to have a coordinated approach to responding to climate shocks.
Sanat Dahaba is the Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency.
Disaster happen at a time when we are in the middle of budget implementation. The country would not be able to have capacity to respond immediately. But if we put insurance measures in place, that will actually alleviate some of the challenges that we have to respond to the affected population whenever they are faced with disaster.
Germany, a member of the G7 countries, is said to be the leading donor country supporting the Global Seal Initiative. Martina Bock de Oliveira represented the German embassy at the event.
As a Global Shield country, the Gambia will receive comprehensive support in understanding the risks they face and receiving financial and technical assistance to set up and implement instruments of financial protection.
Rohi John Manjang, the Minister of Environment, emphasizes the need for more funding in the realization of the Gambia's climate resilience activities.
We have been projects of support in bits and pieces. We are not saying that they are not welcome. We welcome them because, as I said, little is better than zero. But again, we need to access climate fundings. And this we are calling for all donor partners and the international world to support.
C.D. Keita, Minister of Finance, was represented at the event by Professor Per Gomez, the Minister of Higher Education.
The Global Shield offers us a new frontier, an opportunity to scale up and enhance these initiatives. We believe that through this platform, we can leverage the lessons learned from these programs and broaden our financial safety nets to protect our most vulnerable communities.
By the end of the two-day Stakeholders Engagement Forum on the Global Seal Initiative, participants will be able to better understand and identify needs, set priorities, and determine areas most requiring support in the fight against climate change in the Gambia. For QTV News, I am Lamin Alaifandindabo.
We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more national and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Ready to jumpstart your tech career? At IIHT Gambia Limited, we offer a variety of in-demand courses to equip you with essential skills for the tech industry. Our programs include Diploma in Information Technology and Cybersecurity, Cisco Certified Network Associate and Network Professional, Advanced Diploma in Software Development, Diploma in Multimedia, Graphic Design and Digital Marketing, Diploma in Database Administration and Technical Support. Whether you're starting your IT journey or looking to advance your career, our expert instructors and hands-on learning will prepare you for success. Don't wait. Enroll today and transform your future. Call us at 701968 or 3464161 or visit us at 55 Kairaba Avenue, adjacent to the U.S. Embassy, Fajara, Kanifing Municipality. Learn more at www.ihtgambia.gm. IIHT Gambia Limited, connecting talent to opportunity.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertel-Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. The Bertel-Harding Highway is transforming transportation in the Gambia with new roundabouts and vehicular overpasses. But safety must come first. Standing along the road or at roundabouts to flag down taxis creates unsafe conditions and unnecessary traffic jams. Remember, always board taxis at designated taxi garages or the garas located at major traffic points. Drivers stopping in no stopping zones will be penalized. Let's keep our roads clear and safe. Together, we can ensure a safe and efficient journey for all.
Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. The Gambia Immigration Department held a press briefing at its headquarters in Banjul on Wednesday on the Gambia's readiness to host the ECOWAS Heads of Immigration Conference. Amadou Tamba attended the briefing and has the rest of the story.
The event, the first of its kind in the Gambia, is an annual event set to bring together 12 heads of immigration services for a conference from the 23rd to the 24th of September 2024 at the Sadauda Karaba Jawara Conference Center, with the exception of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, the three countries that opted out of the sub-regional bloc ECOWAS a year ago this week. The meeting under the theme, the acceleration of the development of the ECOWAS National Biometric Identity Card and the abolition of the 90-day stay limit or residence permit, will provide an opportunity to look at the significant emerging issues in the sub-region, including trade, immigration, good practice in range of systems, in the free movement of persons and migration matters. The Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department, Mr. Ibrahim Mboob, says that the Gambia is known for its hospitality and will endeavor to host a successful conference.
We are communicating. Quite a lot has been happening over the years, and it is incumbent on ECOWAS to review the protocol in terms of entry, residence, and establishment. We are a community, and you can all refer back to history, that Africa should be united. And we cannot be united when there are borders between us. But if the dream is still on the floor for us to embrace, it's important that we come up with measures that will keep us together as community citizens.
The two-day convergence will be the 8th such conference within ECOWAS member to address these issues, including the removal of 90-day stay in a country for community citizens and related issues. The meeting will also allow the immigration chiefs to an opportunity to identify, understand, and find solutions to challenges amongst member states. Director Mboob hopes that the resolutions reached at the close of the conference can be called the Banjul resolutions.
I want to state the fact that in the Gambia here, yes, you meet up with different nationals. Sometimes we believe we have porous borders, people move about. Some would enter in regularly, but some would enter clandestinely. But I want to still state that immigration has been on deck for one good reason. The documentation is ongoing. Another thing, borders have been controlled. We have MIDAS in about 9 locations through the support of the IOM.
Matters including the ECOWAS National Biometric Identity Card, kidnapping, and human trafficking will also take center stage in this conference. Here is Immigration Director General Ibrahim Mboob again.
But what the ECOWAS is trying to look at now is to look back into how these policies and then protocols have been implemented so far. And it recognizes the unison, the cooperation between countries, not only the countries, but how the dream of ECOWAS would keep us together in a borderless community.
Ghana and Nigeria are among the countries that have previously successfully hosted this event. Those responsible for the Gambia's hosting are confident of delivering a successful event. For QTV News, Amadou Tamba.
We will now take a look at news outside the Gambia. The UN General Assembly has overwhelmingly voted for Israel to end its occupation of Gaza and the West Bank within a year, with 124 countries voting for the historic resolution demanding Israel comply with international law and withdraw its military forces immediately, evacuate and go back. One African country voted against the resolution. Julian Jai analyzes the historic vote and she now reports.
The Israel-Palestine conflict did not start on the 7th of October 2023, when Palestinian military group Hamas launched an attack on a music festival in Israel, killing 1,139 and taking over 250 people hostage. That was the latest major incident in a conflict stretching back several decades. The governments of 44 countries denounced the attack and described it as terrorism, while some Arab and Muslim-majority countries blame Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories as the root cause of the attack. More than 41,110 people have been killed in Gaza since then, according to the territory's Hamas-run Ministry of Health. This UN session ended with 124 nations voting in favor and 14 voting against, including Israel with 43 abstentions. The Gambia voted in favor of the resolution. However, Cameroon, Ethiopia, DR Congo, Kenya, Liberia, Rwanda, and South Sudan were the African countries that abstained. Malawi was the only African country to vote against the resolution. As usual, the United Nations and many other Western countries that have never voted against Israel at the UN and are accused of being complicit in its continued occupation either did not vote in support of the resolution or abstain. The UN resolution stems from a July advisory opinion from the UN's highest court, the International Court of Justice, which ruled that Israel was occupying the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip against international law. The resolution calls for Israel to comply with international law and withdraw its military forces, immediately cease all new settlements activity, evacuate all settlers from occupied land, and dismantle parts of the separation wall it constructed inside the occupied West Bank. The General Assembly further demands that Israel return land and other immovable property as well as all assets seized since the occupation began in 1967 and all cultural property and assets taken from Palestinians and Palestinian institutions. The resolution also demands Israel allow all Palestinians displaced during the occupation to return to their place of origin and make reparation for the damage caused by its occupation. The resolution also includes a decision to convene an international conference during the Assembly's current session to implement UN resolutions pertaining to the question of Palestine and the two-state solution for the achievement of a just, lasting, and comprehensive peace in the Middle East. The Assembly urged states not to recognize Israel's presence in the occupied lands as lawful and to ensure that they do not provide aid or assistance in maintaining situation created by the occupation. This includes taking measures to prevent their nationals, companies, and entities under their jurisdiction from engaging in activities that support or sustain Israel's occupation. Although these resolutions are not binding, they carry symbolic and political weight as they reflect the positions of all 193 member states of the UN. For QTV News, I am Julden Yai.
Also in international news, Zimbabwe, home to the second largest elephant population in the world, has announced a controversial plan to cull 200 elephants in response to the country's most severe drought in 40 years. Lena Igwenyiba reports.
With over 84,000 elephants,
The country's forests are struggling to support its wildlife. The Environment Minister explained to Parliament that Zimbabwe, and I quote, has more elephants than we need and more than our forests can accommodate, end of quote, emphasizing that the overpopulation of elephants is draining resources and exacerbating human-wildlife conflicts. This is the first mass elephant cull in Zimbabwe since 1988, following Namibia's similar move last month to combat food insecurity. The government is considering mobilizing local communities, particularly women, to process and distribute the meat from the culled elephants to areas in need of protein. Many animals are slaughtered for their meat around the world. However, elephant meat is relatively rare. In West Africa, Sierra Leone and Liberia's elephant populations have been eaten into near extinction, with only a handful left in the border between the two countries. Zimbabwe's decision has sparked outrage among conservationists and animal rights activists, even though the current Zimbabwe elephant population is more than double what it was in the 1980s. The elephant culls will take place in 4 districts where conflict between humans and elephants are common. Tinashe Farawo, spokesperson for the Zimbabwe's Parks and Wildlife Authority, stressed that the cull is part of efforts to alleviate overcrowding in the parks and ensure the survival of both wildlife and humans. 7.6 million Zimbabwean citizens are expected to experience severe food shortages from January to April during the peak of the lean season, according to the World Food Programme. It is not clear whether the current cull is a temporary measure or one that will become established if the problems it is expected to address, hunger, drought, and animal or human conflict, continue. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Igwanyiba.
Well, that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Enjoy the rest of our programs.